Hello everyone, welcome to business statistics class. So in previous video we had studied about an important concept, that is coefficient of variation, and in today's video we will see the last concept of third unit and also an important concept, that is skewness. So the term skewness refers to lack of symmetry, or skewness means asymmetry or non-symmetry. So in a frequency distribution, the spread of the values may be symmetrical around the center or it may not be so. So if the values are not distributed symmetrically around the center, the distribution is said to be skew. So suppose you have a data and we can get mean, median, mode for a certain set of data, and we can see the variation is equally distributed along the center value. So such type of data is said to be symmetrical data, but not in all cases we may get a distribution which is symmetrical around the center. So if the values are not distributed symmetrically around the center, then such type of distribution is said to be skewed. So the coefficient of skewness is a measure which indicates the degree of skewness. So it may be positive, it may be 0, or it may be negative. So basically we are measuring if there is any asymmetry in a given data. So the difference between variation and skewness is, variation tells us about the amount of variation in a data, but skewness tells about the direction of the variation. And in business and economic series, measures of variation have greater practical applications than measure of skewness. So now let us see what is positively skewed distribution. So we can say a distribution is positively skewed if the right tail of the distribution is longer than the left tail. So this is the right tail and this is the left tail. So here, if the right tail is longer than the left tail, then we can say the given distribution is positively skewed. So the given distribution is said to be negatively skewed if the left tail is longer than the right tail, and if both the tails are equal, that is, if the data looks like this, that is in a bell-shaped curve, then we can say it is symmetrical distributed. So in a symmetrical distribution, the values of mean, median and mode are equal, and for any symmetrical distribution, the coefficient of skewness will be 0. It is because there is a symmetrical distribution and skewness measures the lack of symmetry. So when the distribution is already symmetrical, then we can say the skewness is 0. So according as coefficient of skewness is positive or negative, the distribution is said to be positively or negatively skewed. So the mean, median and mode of a symmetrical distribution are equal, that is they coincide. For such distribution, the lower and the upper quartiles are equidistant from median. So suppose this is a symmetrical distribution, we know that mean, median and mode are equal. So the property is the lower quartile, which is Q1, and Q3, which is upper quartile, are equidistant from the median. So these have equal distance for a symmetrical distribution. And for positively skewed distribution, the median and mode are lesser than the mean, and for negatively skewed distribution, the median and mode are greater than the mean. So here we can see for positively skewed, the median and mode value are lesser than the mean value, and for negatively skewed we can see the median and mode is greater than the mean value. So now let us see measures of skewness. Measure of skewness can be both absolute as well as relative. So the two important method of measuring relative skewness is, the first one is Karl Pearson's coefficient of skewness. So this method is most frequently used for measuring skewness, and the formula for calculating Karl Pearson's coefficient of skewness is, it is denoted by S, that is skewness. In case of Karl Pearson's coefficient of skewness is mean minus mode divided by standard deviation, that is S is equal to x bar minus z divided by sigma. So suppose you have data where the mode is ill defined. So we had seen what do we mean by mode ill defined, that is you may have, for one distribution given, you may have more than 2 mode values or 3 mode values. So in such cases we can say the mode is ill defined. So in such cases the Karl Pearson coefficient formula would be S is equal to 3 times of mean minus median divided by standard deviation. In terms of notation, S is equal to 3 times of x bar minus capital M divided by sigma. So this was for Karl Pearson coefficient of skewness. The next important measure is Boles coefficient of skewness. So this method is based on quartiles. So the formula is skewness, that is capital S is equal to Q3 minus M minus Q1, that is lower quartile, divided by Q3 minus M plus M minus Q1. So when you simplify, you will get the formula as Q3 plus Q1 minus 2M, that is median, divided by Q3 minus Q1. So this M and this M gets cancelled. So Q3 minus Q1 will get in the denominator. So this is the formula for Boles coefficient of skewness. So let us see a problem related to both Karl Pearson coefficient of skewness and Boles coefficient of skewness. So suppose in the exam they have given a raw data. So what we have to do is, first we have to calculate the value of mean, the value of mode and the value of standard deviation. So all these three we had studied in our previous classes, that is we know how to calculate mean for a given data, we know how to calculate mode, and also we had seen how to calculate standard deviation. So calculate all these three, substitute them, and then you'll get the value of coefficient of skewness. So suppose they have asked to calculate Boles coefficient of skewness, then you have to calculate the lower quartile, upper quartile and the second quartile, that is median, and then substitute it in the formula. So we know even how to calculate quartiles for all the three cases. We know how to calculate standard deviation, mean, median for all the three types of data, that is raw data and continuous and discrete type of data. So I won't be explaining each and every type of data once again, because it is just the same thing, that you have to calculate all these measures and then substitute it in the formula. So here the only new thing that you have to study is the concept and the formulas used. So let us see one example for Karl Pearson coefficient. So the question is, for the following distribution of diastolic blood pressure of men, calculate Karl Pearson coefficient of skewness. So this is a continuous data, and if you remember, we had solved the same problem in standard deviation class. I think it was the last problem, and it was for continuous case, and we had used step deviation method. So here I have solved standard deviation using direct method. So you can refer both the videos, you can see which type of method is easy and you can follow, that is either direct method or the step deviation method, but you will get the same answer in both the cases. So here I have used the direct method. So the pressure and number of men are given. So the class intervals are from 78 to 80 up to 88 to 90, and the frequencies are also given. So first calculate capital N, which is 80 in this case. So this is a continuous type of data. So we have to calculate the mid values, which is upper limit plus lower limit divided by 2. So calculate mid values for all the classes and then write the formula of standard deviation. Also we need the formula or the value of x bar in Karl Pearson's coefficient formula. So even we'll calculate x bar, sigma and mode. So the formula for x bar is summation fx divided by n in case of continuous distribution, and the formula for standard deviation is summation fx square divided by capital N minus summation fx divided by n whole square. So we need a table of summation fx square and summation fx. So this is same in case of mean. So let us find out all these values. So we have got the mid values, that is x. Now let us calculate fx, which is just multiply these two columns for each class. So 79 into 3 is 237. Similarly 15 into 81 and so on till 4 into 89. You will get these values. Add these values, you will get the value of summation fx. So the next column would be summation fx square, that is square these values and multiply with f. So the first value is 3 into 79 square, which is 18,723. So similarly 15 into 81 square, 26 into 83 square. So you have to solve. So you can see the values are so huge over here, but in case of step deviation method the values would be very small and you could do it directly without using your calculators. But if you get confused, you can use this direct method. So add these values, that is fx square, you will get summation fx square, and then now substitute these values in the formula. So the first thing we can calculate is x bar, which is mean. So we got summation fx as 6704 and capital N is 80. Therefore x bar is 83.8 mm dot hg. So you can verify this mean and standard deviation with the problem that we had solved in the class of standard deviation. Using step deviation method we got the same answer. So now let us calculate standard deviation. So substitute summation fx square value and n is 80 minus. So summation fx divided by n is nothing but your x bar, and we got x bar as 83.8. So this value is 83.8. So you have to take square of it. So there is no need again for you guys to calculate this value when you already have it. So then square root of 7027.9 minus 7022.44. When you simplify, you will get square root of 5.46. Therefore, the standard deviation is 2.336 mm dot hg. So we got the same answer. So if they had asked for variance, you have to square this value. So you will get the value of sigma square. So now in the formula of Karl Pearson coefficient, that is mean minus mode divided by standard deviation, we got the mean value, we got the standard deviation value. Now let us find out the mode value. So we know z is equal to, that is mode is equal to L plus f minus f1 into c divided by 2f minus f1 minus f2. So you can refer to the class of mode if you are not familiar how to calculate mode. So check for the highest value in the frequency, which is 26. So the corresponding class will be your model class. So then find out the terms. So here L is 82, that is the lower limit of the model class. F is the frequency of the model class. F1 is the value of frequency preceding to the model class frequency, and F2 is your succeeding frequency value of the model class. So substitute all these terms and calculate. So you will get Z as 82.64 and C is nothing but the width or size of the class interval, which is 2. So now we got all the three values, then substitute it in the formula. So therefore Karl Pearson coefficient of skewness is S is equal to x bar minus Z divided by sigma. So x bar is 83.8, Z is 82.64 divided by standard deviation is 2.336. So we got S as 0.4966. So this is a positive value. So therefore we can say the coefficient of skewness is positive and hence the distribution is positively skewed. So suppose you got a negative value, then we can say the coefficient of skewness is negative and therefore the distribution is negatively skewed. So depending upon your value of S, we can decide whether the distribution is positively skewed or negatively skewed, and if you get S as 0, we can say the distribution is symmetrical or non-skewed. And suppose here in such problems you had two values which was 26, that is highest value, so you can't define mode. In such cases you have to use the other formula, that is 3 into x bar minus capital M divided by sigma. In such cases you had to calculate median. So we know how to calculate median for any given set of data. So use the formula, find out the median and then substitute it in the formula of coefficient of skewness. So first check if the data has a mode defined well. If it is defined, you can use the first formula. If not, you have to use the second formula. So the next example is a survey of 100 plant and 80 unplanned families revealed the following distribution of children. Compare their skewness by making use of the coefficient based on quartiles. So we know the Bowley's coefficient of skewness uses and it is based on quartiles. So we have to use Bowley's coefficient of skewness to calculate this problem. So they have given the number of children, the number of planned families and the number of unplanned families. So we have to calculate Q1 median and Q3, that is lower quartile, upper quartile and median values, so that we can substitute it in the formula. Q3 plus Q1 minus 2m divided by Q3 minus Q1. So let's find out Q1, Q3 and m value for planned families. So here for planned families, this is the data. So write it in a tabular form. It is 4, 50, 30, 10, 3, 2, 1 and they have given n as 100. Find out the LCF, that is cumulative frequency. So that is 4 plus 50 is 54, 54 plus 30 is 84, so on you have to calculate LCF. And also I hope you guys know and you understand how to calculate Q1 and Q3. If not, you can refer the previous video. So now the formula for Q1 is capital N plus 1 divided by fourth value in the LCF. Here capital N is 100, therefore 101 divided by 4 is 25.25. So check for the value in the LCF which is greater or equal to the obtained value. So here 54 is the value which is greater than 25.25. So the corresponding value is your Q1 value. So Q1 is equal to 2 children. So similarly calculate median and Q3. So the formula for median is capital N plus 1 divided by 2th value in the LCF, which is 50.5 value, 50.5 value in the LCF. So again check in LCF for the value that is just greater or equal to 50.5, which is again 54. Therefore your Q2 or capital M is 2 children. So let us find Q3, which is 3 times of N plus 1 divided by 4, which is 75.75. So check in LCF. So 84 is greater than 75.75. So the corresponding value is your Q3 value. So this is your Q3, this is your Q1 and Q2, that is M, capital M. So we got plant families value of Q1, capital M and Q3. So similarly calculate Q1, capital M and Q3 for unplanned families. Before that, let us substitute the obtained values in the formula of Boley's coefficient of skewness. So here Q3 is 3, Q2 is 2, that is capital M, and Q1 is 2. So Q3 plus Q1 is 3 plus 2 minus 2 times of M is 2 into 2 divided by 3 minus 2, which is 1. So the value of coefficient of skewness for plant families is 1. So now for unplanned families, write down the frequency, calculate cumulative frequencies, and then find out Q1, M and Q3 values similarly. So for Q1 the value is 3, for M it is 5, and for Q3 it is again 5. So substitute it in the formula of coefficient of skewness. So we'll get it as 5 plus 3 minus 2 times of 5 divided by 5 minus 3, which is minus 1. Thus the distribution of children among planned families is positively skewed and the distribution among the unplanned family is negatively skewed. So this is how you have to write the comments depending upon the values of the obtained coefficient of skewness. So we got a negative value, so we'll say for the given distribution, that is distribution of children among unplanned family is negatively skewed, whereas the distribution of children among planned family it is positively skewed. So if the data was raw data, the formula for quartiles would be N plus 1 divided by 4 for Q1, and for Q3 it would be 3 times of N plus 1 divided by 4. And if it was for continuous data, we know how to calculate. You can refer the previous videos. So in your exams, first check what type of data it is, then according to that data you calculate the required terms. It might be any of the measures, that maybe it can be mean, median, mode or quartiles. So calculate and then substitute. So the next question is, for a frequency distribution, the sum of upper and the lower quartile is 25. Their difference is 13. The median is 10. Find the coefficient of skewness. So they have not mentioned whether you have to use Karl Pearson or Boley's coefficient. But what they have mentioned is, they have given the sum of upper and lower quartile and their difference. So here they have given the values of Q1 plus Q3 and Q3 minus Q1 and the value of median. So obviously you have to use Boley's coefficient of skewness. So write the formula, that is S is equal to Q3 plus Q1 minus 2M divided by Q3 minus Q1. So in the question they have given the sum of lower quartile and upper quartile and lower quartile, that is Q3 plus Q1 is 25 and the difference of upper quartile and lower quartile is 13 and m value is 10. So substitute these values in formula. So Q3 plus Q1 is 25 minus 2 times of this should have been 10 because m is 10 not 5. So 25 minus 2 into 10 divided by, we know the difference is 13. So simplify this term, you'll get S as 0.3846. So therefore we can say the distribution is positively skewed. Or else in the question they might have given the values of Q1, the value of Q3 and the value of S. They might have asked you to find out M. So any of the one term will be unknown and the remaining terms will be given. So substitute all the terms in the formula and find out for the unknown value. So for this you must be very particular about the formulas. So the last question is, in a frequency distribution the lower and the upper quartiles are 136 and 158 respectively. If the distribution is non-skew, find the median. So here they have given the lower quartile, that is Q1 is 136 and the upper quartile as 158, and they have said the given distribution is non-skew, that is it is symmetrical. And we know if a distribution is symmetric, then the coefficient of skewness value would be 0, that is they have given S is equal to 0. So now we have to find out the value of the median, that is capital M. So substitute the given values in the formula. So S is equal to 0, Q3 is 158 and Q1 is 136. So when you substitute S as 0, so this term can be multiplied. So 0 into Q3 minus Q1 is again 0. So we'll get the equation as Q3 plus Q1 minus 2m. So we want the value of 2m. So now substitute, which is 158 plus 136 minus 2m, which is equal to 0. So 2m is equal to 158 plus 136, which is 294. Therefore m is equal to 147. That is median is 147. Also in your examination they may give the value of mean directly, they may give the value of median, or they may give the value of mode and standard deviation. So according to the given values, you have to understand which formula to be used and you have to find out whatever they have asked. So if they have given X bar and Z and standard deviation, you have to use Karl Pearson coefficient where mode is defined and you have to find out the skewness value. If they have given X bar, Z and M, you have to use the second formula of Karl Pearson's coefficient and you have to solve accordingly. Or else they may give the value of S and X bar and Z, they may ask you to find out standard deviation. Anything unknown quantity you have to use with the formulas and given quantities. So these type of questions even they may ask in case study, wherein they'll give a table of all the values. They will ask you to find out mean, standard deviation, coefficient of variation and also skewness. So all questions they can combine and they can give it for 15 marks. So with this we complete the third unit. So I'll be giving notes by Monday or by today. Go through the notes, try to solve more problems. If you have any doubts, you can contact me anytime during the college hours. And in the next video we will begin with the unit 4, that is probability. So that's it for today's class. Thank you.